My mom's not that old. She's 76, and she had polio when she was young. And my whole life, she's had problems with arthritis and what now they call post-polio disease, which is just huge inflammation and a lot of problems. And I kind of knew my mom was getting to the age where we should be discussing about her care. And I'd raised it to my brothers a few years ago. She has been sick at other parts of my life, but as the doctor later told me, my two brothers were a little unhelpful in the fact that they kind of wanted to ignore it. And she went to the UK to visit my aunts and wasn't able to come back because the pain was so bad. And then did come back and really had gone from this British stoic woman who taught yoga, albeit on her little fist because her arthritis was so bad, but she came back from the UK and really couldn't even walk by herself. And her name is Josie, Granny Josie, as we call her. And so here, Granny Josie went from, this walking and doing yoga to ending up staying in my house for 10 days and me having to actually support her with pillows around her because she couldn't even hold her neck up. And she was completely, even her mental capacity had changed. And she was in a really, really bad pain cycle, so on morphine. And I knew what to do, and I wouldn't have known what to do before, which is I got some home care for her when she was able actually to go back to her little residence. But even when they came to do the intake, what I realized is how difficult it is to make sure you're having the right conversation. And all these nuances of being the daughter or the kid to the parent that needs care. I recognize then that you have to be there for the intake, particularly if your parent isn't doing that well then. And even with somebody as talented as Kim doing the intake and with me there and knowing all that I know about taking care of seniors is my mom lied. Like Kim said to her, well, how are things been? And she said, oh, everything is great. Well, it hadn't been. She had been at my house for 10 days solid. We had 24-hour care between all of us. And she hadn't been toileting herself. So if you had just listened to Granny Josie, then everything was cool. She was fine. She maybe needed someone to check on her, once a week. The feelings that you feel. So you're grappling with wanting to be, bring your family together and everyone having different ideas. And then the guilt, because I still have to work, the guilt about, calling in and 4 times a day or 5 times a day. It was like having a 4th job. And I knew to go to Nurse Next Door. What if I didn't? What if I had to figure out all those things amongst it as well? What's interesting is this is the conversation my peer group's having now. I happen to have kids when I was young, but I've got people that are straddling the conversation about caregiving for their kids or taking care of their teenagers and taking care of their parents. This is the conversation switched from what do you do for childcare, or tell me about your daycare, or tell me about your in-home care, your nanny, to what are you doing about your parents? That's the conversation now. So it's different. And I can remember going to have a drink with a friend of mine that is, she's about 10 years older than me, and we've known each other professionally and have a drink together now and then, but we haven't dug really deep into our personal lives. And I went in one day to have a drink with her, and as I walked in, she said, how are you doing? And I said, I am the world's worst daughter. This was before my mom was even getting bad. It was just, she needed a different kind of care already. And she looked at me and she said, no, I'm the worst daughter. And I thought, God, this is just how we feel now. We feel constantly like we're not doing enough. So, makes it difficult when you're working because you're adding another one. And by the way, even if you were an at-home mom, it would be the same. It's just another element of caring for somebody in a different way. More importantly is I think that we're all just recognizing we're all going through the same thing and all just starting to talk about it. So it's pretty different dynamic. So what difference has Nurse Next Door care made? Well, it was interesting. At the same time, one of my brothers decided on the weekend he was going to get somebody to come and clean the house that was a caregiver that wasn't part of an organization, so just an independent. And she was lovely. And so I kind of had to let my brother do that because we all get to choose how my mom's being cared for. The difference with using an independent caregiver and Nurse Next Door was that you can call an 800 number anytime. You can change the schedule. The schedule doesn't get changed on you, or very, very rarely, because they can get somebody else to come. So that, for me, gosh, I'm going to use so Brandy, the peace of mind around that was so great. Definitely has made my days easier. And it has, like I said, it's afforded my mom a bit of control too, which has been really good. So it's what I would suggest. It's what I would suggest to anybody going through the same thing. And what's really great for me in the community, in being involved in the business community, and with a lot of women my age-ish, is the thing that warms my heart so much is when I walk into a meeting or when I walk into an event and I have my Nurse Next Door under my name, and someone says to me, oh, I know you. My mom loved you guys, or my mom loves you guys. There's always a story, and it's always a story about how Nurse Next Door has affected people's lives, and it's pretty cool.